Tonight on CTV News, the struggle continues for first home buyers. A gun shop owner comes under fire over an illegal online gun purchase, and Canterburyans join the nation to celebrate the sausage.
Broadcasting across Canterbury from the CTV studio, this is First at 5.
Kia ora, good evening. Welcome to CTV News, now streaming live every night at ctv.co.nz. Well, house prices are set to skyrocket in Christchurch, making things harder for first-home buyers. Chelsea Daniels has more.
First-time home buyers are scrambling for houses, as house prices are set to peak considerably within the next 6 months, according to a new survey. The Property Institute predict a price jump among the region's cheaper homes.
Is that there are folks starting to return, and those folk are obviously looking for work and moving back into properties of their own. And I think that's created an opportunity for an increase in property values, and clearly it's at that end of the market.
In Christchurch, despite the experts sceptical in the overall market, they had no such doubts when looking specifically at the low-end price bracket.
So there's two things at play there. One is what's going to happen, and so potentially that, keeping in mind that that's up to 300,000. So it's also on houses that are lower value than that. So, but it means that houses even at that top end, you would expect that there would be an increase in their prices over the next 6 months. But probably the bigger question is why is that? Why is there an increase at that end?
83% of the experts surveyed expected growth in values at the low end of the market. And Church suspects it's because there's a lot more people moving back to Christchurch as the city hits regenerate mode.
My take on it now is that now that the city, and I mean, even the language is changing. They're now no longer talking about a rebuild. They're now talking about regeneration. I see Tony Brownlee's putting through his Christchurch regeneration bill in Parliament. So all the language is around the builds, the hard part of the build, the infrastructure and everything's all completed, and it's now about regenerating the city as a vibrant, modern city again. So I think that sort of language and that sort of process is going to attract people back in pretty large numbers.
Local real estate agent Paul Lawrence says the market is definitely not slowing down.
So there were 544 sales in Christchurch in September, a 4% increase on August, so volumes are still increasing, and that's right across all purchases and all price ranges and all price brackets.
It's predicted first home buyer assistance, low mortgage interest rates and migration are combining to heat up the first home market.
The market has changed a lot for first home buyers at the moment, with the likes of the new builds coming out in Rolleston, Prestons, Kaiapoi, Wigram, wherever it might be. There's a lot of packages, house and land packages, where you can buy a property for under $450,000, which is the cap with KiwiSaver if you want to be eligible for a $9,000 grant from the government.
The cost of rent prices has been a hot topic in the city, and Lawrence says there's no time like the present to act on buying your first home.
There's a lot of benefits to renting, but again, if you generally are paying a wee bit more to rent when you could be putting that towards your own mortgage.
And Church agrees.
Set up with renting, absolutely. I think it's part of the Kiwi, it's in our blood as Kiwis to want to own our own home. So I don't think anybody particularly enjoys renting. There's probably a few sort of yuppies in Auckland that probably think that it's a reasonably acceptable thing to do. But I think for most of us, we want to end up owning our home as quickly as we can. So in that regard, absolutely yes.
The report also emphasises the expected boom in the inner city market after development announcements for the Eastern Frame. Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
A 17-year-old has appeared in the Christchurch District Court today, pleading guilty to sending threatening letters to parents of Mount Pleasant School, in fact. The letters were sent to two families in June demanding money and threatening to harm their children if it wasn't paid. He was remanded on bail, will be sentenced at the end of January. Name suppression will continue in the meantime. A Christchurch gun shop owner has found himself in the firing line after selling a gun online to an undercover journalist using a false name and gun licence, saying there's no loophole in the system. It was a story that frustrated Gun City owner David Tipple, a journalist purchasing a rifle without a licence and with false details.
I was absolutely incredulous that someone would be so silly as to break the law, as to forge the signature of a police woman in order to fake a mail order form.
The news piece, which aired on TV3's Current Affairs show Story, highlighted a suspected loophole in the purchase of guns. But the store owner, who's based in Christchurch, says there isn't one.
There's the opportunity for a criminal to break the law. And in this case, my lawyer tells me that there were 5 laws broken. And so what do we do now? Bring in another law? Will they stop at 6? Is 5 their limit? If we have 10 laws surrounding this, will that stop them? I don't think so.
He blames the Privacy Act, saying it's hard to access information about people to double-check the information they're given.
I can't ring up the police and say, please tell me what John Smith's firearms licence number is, and I can't ring up and say, tell me, is this licence number the licence number of John Smith? We have been asking the police for some time to enable us to have access to licence numbers, validity and names, and we offered to pay for the software that it would take to have online access to that, and that was in January, and they said they were working on it and they'd get back to us within a few weeks, and they're having a meeting with us early in November.
Prosecution of the journalist could be stopped via a public interest clause, but Tipple thinks she should pay the consequences for breaking the law, 3 months in prison or a $1,000 fine.
We have a really good record of very low firearms crime, and it's continuing to reduce. So where's the panic?
Investigations into the illegal gun purchase are continuing. Jared McCulloch, CTV News. The recovery mission of 3 missing fishermen continues after their trawler sunk on Sunday. The Royal New Zealand Navy is making its way to the last known location of the FV Jubilee, currently travelling down the east coast of the North Island. The Navy are expected to arrive in Canterbury by Saturday afternoon. Well, still to come here on CTV News, a local butchery takes top honours. Welcome back to CTV News. Meridian Energy is warning Canterbury customers to look out for scammers after reports of hoax phone calls. Callers claiming to be from the energy company have called customers asking to update their bank and personal details, or else their electricity would be cut off. It's believed older customers are being targeted, leading Meridian to believe the scammers are targeting that age group. If you receive a call from people saying they are Meridian, they're urging you to hang up immediately and call the company directly. Well, there seems like there's a day for everything, and today happens to be the first ever National Sausage Day. But what really makes a good sausage? The sausage, the ideal barbecue meat. But now it's being celebrated like never before with its very own National Day. And alongside it was the Devro New Zealand Sausage Competition, where one Christchurch butchery took out a whopping 8 awards. The Edgware-based butchery are over the moon.
Absolutely stoked. Yeah, everyone, all the boys in here stoked. Yeah, no, a lot of hard work goes in behind it, so happy as Larry.
The sausage is becoming more and more popular as years go by, with this butchery selling up to 12 different flavours, making them a prime product.
There's more varieties now in New Zealand. Used to have your just standard beef and standard pork. Now you've got all the continental side coming through. You've got like German bratwurst. You've got the Dutch as well coming through.
The top prize was awarded to Countdown Supermarket for their Alpine pork sausage, but the butchery is ready for the challenge.
We sort of have to do what the big guys are not doing, because we can't compete with the big guys. We've got to do something different. We've got to pride ourselves on small batch numbers and just service, things that the big boys are not doing.
He says the history of the Kiwi sausage has come a long way, with more time being spent on making it the best product.
They originally go for them, they used to, because they were cheaper, but I think now they go for them because there's more variety, there's flavour, and they actually sausages now. They used to be, you put in what was left over, but now it's actually putting in good cuts, like good lean pork shoulder, gluten-free, preservative-free, MSG-free, things like that people are looking for now.
But for now, they want to celebrate their success and hope to do it all again next year and show what Christchurch has to offer.
Got a few more recipes up our sleeve, so yeah, we'll do our best to maybe next time have a few more there, you know. So yeah, no, it'll be great.
Jared McCulloch, CTV News. A Hornby chop shop has been busted, with police finding the property on the trail of a stolen van. The van belongs to a contractor which was stolen last week. Police stumbled upon 8 other vehicles, all in the process of being stripped for parts. 3 men aged between 23 and 27 were arrested and charged. Police are encouraging people to secure vehicles, reducing the opportunity for them to be stolen or broken into. And now let's cross to Bridget in the newsroom with what's happening in your neighbourhood.
Thanks, Jared. I'm Bridget Rutherford. 2 young girls went on an adventure of sorts, sending the school, their families and the police into a spin. The girls' aunt dropped them at Summerfield School yesterday, but they had other plans. They hopped on the Orbiter bus instead. The school alerted police just before 10 a.m. that the 2 girls had not shown up. Senior Constable Logan Steele says the 2 girls, both aged about 8 years old, had decided they didn't want to go to school. Police located them at about 10:50 a.m. on Ensaws Road, about 4 k's away, and they were delivered back to school. A New Brighton identity has turned 100. Ray Gash had a quiet celebration with his daughters over a family dinner. He's lived in New Brighton all of his life, and needless to say, he's a life member of the local bowling club. Ray is still independent as ever, living on his own, and he only gave up driving last year. But he's put the bowls away. Happy birthday, Ray. The Hub Hornby is breaking tradition and will embrace Halloween. For the first time, the mall will allow children under the age of 8 to go from store to store trick-or-treating. Centre manager Jason Marsden says malls are the perfect environment to host a trick-or-treat type event by providing a warm, safe environment. There will be spot prizes and face painting as well. Halloween, of course, is next Saturday on October 31st. The Mount Pleasant War Memorial Community Centre will have to wait until December to get its new lease approved. The Hagley Ferrymead Community Board was to approve the lease yesterday, but wanted some specifics cleared up, including maintenance costs of the building and war memorial. It will now go back to the City Council on December 10th. Community Board member Joe Davies says the board is supportive of the lease, but wants the best outcome for the community. The new centre is being built now and is hoped to be completed by April. From the newsroom, I'm Bridget Rutherford.
Thanks for that, Bridget. To sport now, it's just 2 more sleeps for Canterbury rugby fans looking to see the Red and Blacks hopefully take out another provincial title. Saturday night's match will have extra importance for one long-term Cantab playing his last game for the side.
Tom Taylor will bring up his 100th cap for the province this weekend. The logistics of achieving this feat have proved added motivation to make this year's final.
I worked it out a little bit and I knew I was going to fall short, but then Foxy, our gear man, told me about halfway through the season, he's like, did you know if we make the final and you play every game that you'll just make your 100? So that was pretty cool, quite a cool little thing just in the background just to motivate me and just make sure I kept my body right and just make sure I did all the small stuff. But no, it's pretty cool. It's just something I'll certainly look back on as a cool little memory. My old man finished on exactly 100 as well, so it's worked out pretty funny in that respect.
Coach Scott Robertson had the privilege of giving Taylor a couple of outings as captain this season. He knows Taylor will be missed, but is hopeful the star goal kicker can return to his post in Canterbury down the track.
Oh, look, it's his 100th game on Saturday. We know the combination between the Crusaders and Canterbury, so he gets a little plaque up in the wall in our changing room, which is pretty special. And look, we've done a couple of things from this week that sort of merit what he's achieved, and we love him. He's sad for him to go at such a young age, but look, hopefully he'll be back, and it's Toulon's not a bad place to go, and all the best to him and Jess and his partner.
Playing a provincial final is nothing new for Taylor now, but with his upcoming move to France, it's fair to say this one will be special.
I'm really excited about this one. Probably haven't been this excited about a final ever, so we've got a great bunch of boys. It's been a really great year and a really enjoyable one. That's probably been the best part. I just love coming to here every day and training with the boys, and I was just saying before that I don't really like my days off at the moment because it means I'm away from the boys and having a bit of fun. So it's been a great last season with the team.
And he is hoping Taylor's tenure in red and black can be finished in style come Saturday night. Gordon Findlater, CTV Sport.
Well, still to come here on CTV News, Business and your region's weather forecast. Welcome back to CTV News. Now here's Warren Head with what's happening in local business.
Hi, I'm Warren Head from headliner.co.nz. This week we had one of those dairy price auctions again, and it wasn't so good as the previous four, which have gone up quite remarkably. In fact, have restored a lot of the lost value that we saw in the first half of the year. This one was down 4.6% for the crucial whole milk powder price, and that dropped it to $2,600.94 a tonne. Now, what's the magical number here? It's $3,000 US. At $3,000 US, Fonterra can start to look at a payout somewhere around north of $5 a kilogram of milk solids, and all the other milk producers would follow suit. So that's the target, and that's going to make a big difference to all the small towns around Canterbury for months to come. That's why everybody watches this particular barometer. Of course, what we also are watching is the start of the El Nino pattern coming through. Offshore, it's pretty savage already. The Australian wheat crops are down. There's a ferocious pattern of South Pacific cyclones occurring, a lot of drought in the islands. Now, if that starts here, it'll be the Wairarapa and Canterbury that'll be most closely watched to see the effects of that. They're talking already about it being one of the 50-year type cycles, but fortunately there's one good thing that's occurred. 50 years ago we never had all that irrigation out the back. So isn't that a great thing that the Central Plains water and all the rest of those big irrigators are actually there to take some of the load. Now, as we have been talking about the weather, let's reflect on electricity prices. Well, they were stiff, weren't they? And being a cold winter, we bought more of it. The people who benefit were the energy companies. But what has been interesting to me is that in the past several weeks, our household, and probably you at home too, had all those calls from Genesis Energy in particular. In fact, I think on one day we had 3 in one afternoon. Well, it's worked for them. They have put their total electricity customer numbers up by 1% over the last 3 months. I think they must have all come out of Christchurch. 521,000 they now claim. The Earthquake Minister, Jerry Brownlee, was talking today about if you're interested in getting in on some of the work related to the Metro Sports Centre, tenders are open for the early contractor involvement. That's what they call it, the early contractor involvement. This is a big project. It follows up from the seeking of tenders for design work, which should start to see some of that occurring before Christmas. But this is the one we've been waiting for. There's been long delayed starts on this. It's a big centre, 79 metre, 10 lane competition pool in there, hot pools, 9 indoor courts, and a sports performance centre. Room for 1,000 spectators, and they roll the seats out, 2,500. Where is it? Well, those of you who went to the Police Open Day last weekend, and what a fabulous event that was for our local force, and thousands did, it's across the road from the police station. It's on that car park area, 70,000 square metres between Morehouse Avenue, Stewart Streets, Nassau and Antigua. Drive by, all open space at the moment, but by the end of sometime 2019, we should see something open down on that site. Finally, just to close on rugby, crucial to all our hearts, or hopefully most of you this weekend. Well, who's been screening these big shows in terms of the sports scene? Sky, our competitor on CTV. However, they don't seem to be too keen about 2016. They came out with some numbers for next year that were way down on this particular period. Seems the programming costs for the Rugby World Cup are fairly expensive. And the new Sanzo rugby agreement will be also expensive. And so will Disney and Discovery channels for them to buy, and so on and so on. So they came out with a profit downgrade, and what happened? Their share price went down 55%. 5 cents inside a few minutes. $200 million wiped off that particular afternoon this week when the Sky Network TV guidance for next year's result came through. I'm Warren Head for headliner.co.nz.
Thanks for that, Warren. Now it's time for your region's weather forecast.
Good evening, Canterbury. Well, it was a little bit of a chilly start this morning with southerly winds coming through and a little bit of rain for some places. Came fine though this afternoon. Today's high is 15 degrees for you, Timaru and Twizel. You're actually on 18 degrees today. Updated high for you. Looking to central Canterbury, 14 was actually the high for Christchurch, Akaroa, Leeston, Darfield and Methven, but Ashburton 1 degree warmer on 15. Heading further north, Kaikoura, you're actually a little bit cooler. 13 degrees was your high today. 16 though for Cheviot, 15 there for Amberley, Rangiora actually on 14 and 15 for Hannah Springs. Over to the Alpine region now, 12 degrees for you Lake Tekapo and 13 for Mount Cook. Tomorrow we are expecting a nice way to end the working week. Southerly winds for you Timaru, so a little bit cooler on 16 degrees but sunny skies there and 5 for your overnight low. Ashburton, very similar for you, you'll be seeing those southerly winds come through, 17 degrees for your high with sunny skies and the odd cloudy patch here and there. Looking to the Garden City now, nice day for Christchurch, 15 degrees for the high there with light winds during the day and 6 for that morning start. Kaikoura, you can also expect some light winds for your Friday, 18 degrees for you though, a little bit warmer there and 6 for that overnight low. Sunny skies and the odd cloudy patch for the rest of the Canterbury region, southerly winds for Waimate, Temuka and Geraldine, 15 degrees is your high Twizel. Central Canterbury, also seeing that similar trend here, 14 degrees for your high there Akaroa with southerlies, light winds for everyone else and Darfield on 18, Methven 16 for you and Leeston 15 degrees is your expected high. As we head further north, 18 is the expected high for Cheviot, Hannah Springs, Culverden and Rangiora, 17 for you Oxford and 15 for Amberley. Over to the mountain ranges now, 13 for you Lake Tekapo and Mount Cook and sunny skies with the odd cloudy patch for you too. Looking ahead the weekend, the long weekend, 18 degrees there for Kaikoura and Christchurch on Saturday with northeasterly winds coming through, sunny skies and quite a settled day we're expecting. Flipping over to Sunday again, that really calm settled weather, great for that weekend to get outdoors. Southwesterly winds there for Kaikoura, just light southerlies for you though. Looking ahead for everyone else on Saturday, we are seeing a few northeasterlies to come through for exposed coastal areas in the afternoon. Mainly light winds through the day though, and look at that, lots of sunshine and a few northeasterlies as we head further north as well. As on Sunday, we are expecting a lovely calm settled day again. We're seeing light winds and a few sea breezes in the afternoon for some. So sunny skies tomorrow, and we are expecting that weather to be really beautiful on the weekend as well. So if you're planning your weekend activities for the long weekend, then factor in that really nice weather. That's your update for Thursday.
Some nice weather for the long weekend, yes. And that is CTV News for Thursday. You can find all our stories and bulletins on demand at ctv.co.nz. But for now, thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jared McCulloch. Have a great evening.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.